I'm Amanda Shepard, and welcome to the exhibition Static Energy, Sculpture by Dale Enochs at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art. The exhibition brings together works spanning the artist's decades-long career. Based in Bloomington, Indiana, the artist has spent his career developing unique sculptural techniques that incorporate both figurative and abstract forms in stone and metal. Numerous influences, including the body, the natural world, and Eastern spirituality and culture, emanate from his work. With his studio located in his backyard and his close proximity to Indiana's rich limestone quarries, Enochs is never short of materials nor inspiration. His limestone sculptures highlight the innate beauty and intricacy of a stone typically used for building. The myriad delicate details enlivening their surfaces allow the natural hues of the stone to shine, from brilliant white to creamy yellow, drawing viewers in and instilling a sense of calm. Over the last 40 years, Enochs sculptures have found homes across the globe. Enochs is also prolific in the realm of public art, with 30 sculptures around the world, 16 of which are represented by their maquettes in this exhibition. Work from the past 4 decades of Enochs' dynamic career have been brought together for the first time. This exhibition is curated by Elizabeth Kilmer and Amanda Shepard and is supported by a grant from the Edna Foundation Fund. Additional support is provided by Anne and Wayne Shive.
I learned about a Japanese scholar who was going to give discussions about Japanese rock gardening. Well, I learned about Japanese aesthetics there as well, and philosophy and psychology, and those studies lasted literally for about 16 years. This professor, his name was Dr. Kenneth Yasuda, became a close friend. He taught me many things, and one thing I remember complaining about how I disliked the color of Indiana limestone and its abilities and so forth. And he explained to me that I needed to get to know the spirit of the material, that I needed to consider working hand in hand with the material as opposed to simply imposing my ideas or thoughts on that material. And when that finally started coming together, that's when, as far as I can tell, my work started to really work. These particular 4 stones, the piece itself entitled Alchemical Studies, were once joined together. So this face was part of that face and so on down the line and here as well. The 4 pieces were a slab that I had taken or cut out of a very, very, very large stone. These convoluted areas that are covered or coated in gold leaf are carved naturally. They were carved over millennia by the force of water going through the stone. And so it's how caves are formed. And so I had that slab of 4 stones cut into 4 pieces and took them apart and tried to really show the beauty that was carved by water over millions of years, but also imparting, some of my own ideas. All these carvings are all done by hand, simply with a hammer and a chisel. And people have asked me, well, can't you do that with a pneumatic hammer or something? And yes, I could, but when you work by hand, I've found that there is this erratic, eccentric nature that the forms that you're carving and enlivens the carving much more than if you do it with a machine, a pneumatic hammer or something of that nature. It takes on a machine look. When the stone is cut, it's very flat surface. It's like the surface of the stone is bruised almost, but when you break the stone, the interior nature of the stone becomes exhibited, and it has a sparkle to it. It has a life of its own. And so whenever I do these carvings, the bottom of the line is bruised by the tool, but the break in between is exposing that sparkle. It's exposing the nature of this particular material. And so I utilize that and work with that in creating, these concepts, these forms, and so forth. Indiana limestone is, what it's about is light and shadow. It holds shadows very well and reflects light in a manner that no other stone does. And so I find myself working with that. I have, over the years, worked primarily in Indiana limestone. However, I began working with plate aluminum, of all things. And I've been creating these layered, perforated metal pieces over the years and making different explorations with those, in that light passes through the perforations. It's not a dense material. I've opened it up, and it creates this movement from within. Some people ask me, well, how do these metal pieces relate to the stonework? And I point out, well, the way that they came about is that I had done a small stone piece called Falling Man. Some epiphany took place where I found myself looking at the repetitive carvings that I did for that figurative piece, that I do in different ways on all the other stone pieces, and I started thinking, well, what if those carvings, those repetitive lines, could be perforations in metal, and that light can go through them? And I was so happy with how that worked out that I've continued to explore that. The piece that I'm standing next to, this particular one is titled Stride 2. The original version of it is twice its size, is part of a public piece that I did just a year ago. I set it up outside of Bloomington. The scale of it has an incredible presence, and light passes through the perforations, and it's just a whole different exploration in the same or similar ideas of creating these images of energy, of vibrating energy, if you will. And so I'm really excited about continuing with this. It's not that I'll quit doing stonework too, it's just I learned so much from each successive piece that I attempt to put that information, that knowledge, into the next piece and on down the line.
I hope you enjoyed this tour of the work of Dale Enochs. To find out what's happening at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, visit our website at fwmoa.org. Thank you.